One of my dreams for as long as I can remember was to live at an orphanage and take care of kids. That was
Mhm.
just a dream. And I went to India. I was there for 4 months. I went down to a town called Kottayam down in Kerala. And there was an orphanage. It was called the Assisi Bhavan Orphanage. And I knocked on the door and I was greeted by 36 of the most beautiful girls I'd ever seen. And before I knew it, they ushered me in and they asked me to stay, which I did. And I lived there for almost 3 months. And it was one of the most amazing times of my life. And I realized in that orphanage that these girls had no voice.
Mhm.
And because they had no voice, they had no choice in life. They
Mhm.
had to do what they were told when they were told to do it. And there was no slippage in that. And it broke my heart.
Mhm.
And I became a stand for these girls. I became a stand for them. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I knew that there was something that I was going to do around voice. So here's what's interesting. I flew back to Marin County in California, where I was living a couple of weeks later. And before I knew it, I was asked to speak in front of 400 people. And I just want you to know that speaking was my biggest fear. If I was in front of three people, my teeth would literally chatter. It was not good. And so I just said, no, I can't do it. Mm-mm, mm-mm. And this man, who was such an amazing leader, he looked me in the eyes and he said, you are meant to be on my stage. I'll be by your side every step of the way.
Wow.
In that moment, a light switch turned on inside of me. And I began to believe in myself in a way that I never had before. And so, long story short, I got on that stage. I talked about taking a leap of faith journey and how when you are in alignment with your soul, that there's universal support, whether it's angels or light beings or whatever you want to call it, but there is support for you, and doors will open and opportunities will present themselves and beautiful people will come into your life. And I talked about the orphanage and how I was on a mission to support these girls to find their voice. And what was amazing is after that talk, people came up to me. They waited in line for an hour and a half to talk to me about the girls at the orphanage. They wanted to donate. And then they also said, would you teach me how to speak like you just did?
Wow. Oh my God.
So I had no idea that I would ever be teaching people how to find their voice, because public speaking to me was the worst thing in the entire universe. I remember when I was in college, I got out of a public speaking class that was part of my major, and I took interpersonal communication instead. And I told my fellow students, you couldn't have paid me $1 million to take a public speaking class.